if I was handing out George crosses, I'd give you one for what you've done about the Skripal case, because it's brave to be this, and the same with the journalist you had on earlier, because
yeah, there are a few of us who are not going to let this go, and nobody served any D notice on me, because if they did, I'd go to Trafalgar Square and read it out to anyone that came to hear me do so. So I will not be gagged on this story, however many D notices have or have not been released, because this is a story in which we've all been led down the garden path.
Yeah, and my point is that I was having drinks with friends the other day, and I said to one of them, we were talking about the case, and I said, well, I don't think it was Russia. And the first thing he said to me was, do you also believe the Earth is flat? And I think that's not uncommon, that people think there's this notion of conspiracy where if you challenge authority or you question anything, then you're put into the same bracket as complete lunatics. And I blame that on people like David Icke and Alex Jones in America, who might say some sensible things, and then they'll talk about space aliens, and David Icke talk about the lizards dragging the moon, and the moon's not real. And it poisons the well for all of us that are sensible, asking rational questions. What is a conspiracy theorist? A conspiracy theorist is someone, apparently, that questions a government. But the actual theory about the whole Skripal, that's surely the biggest conspiracy theory with a government version of events, because it's...
Well, we don't know the outcome of that one yet. Let's deal with one that we do know the outcome of. They said that Iraq was bristling with weapons of mass destruction and that we must invade it. That turned out to be a lie. And if it wasn't a lie, it was a monumental blunder. And some were lying and some were just blundering. So we were called conspiracy theorists when we said that. But we turned out to be right. So just because everything isn't a conspiracy doesn't mean that nothing is a conspiracy.
No, each case should be taken face value. Every case you look into, you look at the evidence, you look at the facts, you question it, and then you make your decision. You don't just say, oh, because the government says this. When not just Iraq, they lie time and time again. The media's lied about stuff years and years. Basically anything that's got to do with war, people should be questioning, and it only comes down to ignorance that they don't, because they just believe what they see on the TV.
Well, the greatest of the journalists that worked in England, he was Irish, was Claude Coburn, and he coined the phrase, nothing is true until it's been officially denied, and the inverse is also true.
First of all, I wish to congratulate you, George Galloway, on keeping this alive when the British government are trying to bury it. But the Skripal affair will not go away as long as George Galloway keeps it alive.
As long as I have breath, I'll do that.
Great. And we've heard today that Giorgio Skripal has been released from hospital.
Yep.
But both Yulia and Giorgio...
Sergei.
Sorry?
His name's Sergei. Sergei,
have been kept incommunicado, not allowed to talk to the media. They are effectively locked up in an asylum. And why... well, I'm not asking you this, really. It's a rhetorical question. Why are the British media not demanding to interview the Skripals face-to-face so that they can have their first-hand opinions instead of propaganda that is being put out by the British government, MI6 or MI5, about they don't want to speak to anybody.
Well, Peter, that could be true. But why is nobody asking for proof that it's true? That is the point. It could have been the Russians that did it, but there's no proof that they did it. It could have been Russians that did it, but there is as yet no proof. There's no proof of anything, not even that the incident happened in the way that we were told
Well,
ultimately that it happened.
I absolutely agree with you, George. And if I'm a fairly, I'm a thinking person,
Yep.
and I would say that Skripal, nice chap that he might be, he was a double agent. He was working for both sides, and when he came over to Britain, I'm absolutely certain that he was still working for MI6. He had a police minder who followed him round the clock. That was the guy who allegedly got contaminated.
Well, look,
and just round the corner,
yeah,
his MI6 minder was living. How coincidental is that?
It's a theory that you just put forward. It's a very good one. It's frankly more logical than the theories that the state have put out. But the big question you ask is, why are the media not ... The reason has to be that the media already know that either they were sold a pup, a cat and 2 guinea pigs, and 3 victims, they were sold that pup, or some of them were in on it from the beginning. That has to be the only explanation. Because in this land of the free, there is not a single journalist demanding controlled access, even with a blindfold, to speak to 2 citizens in a high-profile case who are incommunicado. Now, it's not as if the state has never told the media lies before. Every journalist knows how many times the state has told them lies before. So, why would not one, not Channel 4 News, not Peter Snow, Jon Snow, Krishnan Guru Murthy, the BBC, the ITV, the Sky, why would not one of them be demanding a controlled circumstance access to satisfy themselves that these people are not being held against their will, that these people are still alive and healthy, that these people don't actually want to do what Yulia said, and we heard her voice say it just 2 days before. She said something completely different, but only through a police officer reading out a statement that she clearly didn't write on the steps of a police station. She said in the telephone conversation that we heard that she was much better, that her father was better too, and that she was coming home to Russia. That's a fact. We heard her say it. Why hasn't one journalist, not one journalist, asked publicly to be allowed to interview Yulia and Sergei Skripal? That, for me, is the killer fact.